Good evening. This is The Point of View. We're live on Cedi TV. It's Wednesday night, and tonight we're going to have a great conversation about an issue that's very, very essential to us. This show is live and interactive on Cedi TV. We're live on Facebook at Cedi TV GH, and we're also interactive at the hashtag The Point of View. We have a WhatsApp number you can get in touch on as the show goes on to interact with us. When we come back, I'll tell you who my panel is. Stay with us. In a week where Ghana's currency has started recovering, the biggest conversation in town is about the economy. Earlier today, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta announced that Ghana successfully had an oversubscribed attempt to raise a $3 billion bond. But that's not the full story. The currency has started recovering. In a second straight day, the Cedi started strengthening against the dollar. But there are many people who think this recovery is artificial. It's based on pumping dollars into the economy. And that the real problem facing the economy is the structure, the structural issues. So in part 2 of my Saving the Cedi series, I'm bringing in people who represent the private sector. Sat to my extreme left is a man who is the executive director of the Private Enterprise Federation. They bring together all the private sector associations. His name is Nana Osei-Bunsu. Banker by training. These days he's a business advocate. Nana, great to have you. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. And good to be here.
Good. Now we also have the two sides of the business coin. So Richard Amamu is the Deputy General Secretary of the largest group of traders in Ghana. They are called GUTA, Ghana Union Traders Association. They are made up of all kinds of importers and businessmen. Richard, great to have you. Good evening.
Good evening, Bilal.
And I have sat next to him the exporters. They say they've been exporting under dire circumstances. Is the Federation of Associations of Ghanaian Exporters. The president is Tony Sipa. He's on the other side of the equation. Tony, great to have you. Good evening.
Good evening, Bernard.
Great. So we have imports, we have exports, we have private sector, and we also have you. We'll start with the president of the republic. So 2 days ago, he met lawyers at the Ghana Bar Association, and he spoke for the second time in the same month about the Ghana Cedi. He spoke about what needed to be done structurally to stem the Cedi's slide. Let's watch.
This is a matter that we should, all of us, understand as the origin of the real fragility of our currency. And I think this is like all social and political problems. Once you are able to attract people's attention, then of course solutions follow. But if consistently you're just harping at the periphery, you never get to the center of the issue. And this is the center of the matter. Very soon, the Ministry of Trade is going to come out with a list of Ghana's import profile for all of us to see the kind of things that we use our money to buy. I'm prepared to bet that 70% of the things on that list are things that we could produce for ourselves in this country. This is the importance of this one district, one factory initiative of mine. It is not just a political gimmick. It is an attempt to address the issue of being more self-reliant. This whole Ghana Beyond Aid mantra that is now abroad is about that. It's about self-reliance, of doing for ourselves things that we continue to depend on other people to do. You buy things from abroad, you're creating work outside Ghana, which you could create inside this country.
So the president was quite forthright. If we only import, we're creating jobs for those outside Ghana. We must produce what we eat and use, and also export. That will strengthen the Cedi structurally. Since the president touched on imports, I'm going to run you quickly through some data on imports. So it appears Ghana's import appetite is historically very, very strong. I'm going to show you figures from 2016 and 2017 in terms of our major imports. And guess what? The number 1 import category in Ghana is machines. So some would say these machines are intermediate goods because machines are used in production. So there you have it, 23% of our imports in 2016, machines. In fact, in 2017, that figure reduced to 20%. The next category of imports is transportation. Cars, trucks, and all the things we use to move around. And then look at number 3, metals. Number 4 is chemicals, 8.4%. So food imports, this is in terms of value, right? Food imports are not that much. 4.7% of our total import bill is food. But look at textiles in the green box, 4.1%. And then paper goods, this includes toilet roll, 4.6%. These are very interesting figures. We also have instruments, 3.3%. Surprise, surprise, we import 7% of mineral products. That's an interesting statistic. And then, of course, we have stone and glass for building, miscellaneous, all of that. Now, let me go into the food dimension. Let me go into the food dimension. So, in terms of animal and vegetable products, palm oil is actually the largest category of things we import, which is funny because you would have thought that with all the oil palm plantations, we'll not be importing palm oil, but Malaysia and all these other countries who came to borrow palm oil from us are now exporting palm oil to us. Look at number 2 in terms of the animal and vegetable byproducts. Margarine. We import margarine in large quantities, and then we do soya bean oil, seed, and look at olive oil. That's for the anointing purposes. So that's for the anointing.
Lord save
and
us.
Then let's talk about textiles. And in terms of textiles, I found that quite troubling because look at it. 24% of our textile imports are used clothing, also known as furs. Furs. And then light, pure woven cotton, 9%. Packing bags, 6.7%. And then other categories of clothes. So furs is the largest category of textiles we import. Let's look at animal products. Let's look at animal products. Very interesting. Non-fillet frozen fish. About half of all our animal products are fish. In fact, today there was a front page story in the Economy Times that we spent $330 million importing fish products into Ghana in 2017. $330 million. Multiply that by 5. That's 1.5 billion cedis of fish. And then poultry meat around 20%. So fish and meat alone is about 70% of our animal product imports. And then we have concentrated milk, edible fat, 4%. That includes chofi, which has been banned, but we still import it and chop. Very interesting. I'll show you finally transportation data, and then I'll show you the destination or the source of origin of our imports. So when it comes to transportation, 42% of our transportation imports cars, a lot of used cars. Most of these cars are used, second-hand cars, and then delivery trucks, and then buses. And then motorcycles is very small, 2.8%. Now, Anna, see if you can show me the figure, the origin of Ghana imports by continent. I think that's a very interesting data set, because for what I have here, we'll show you that later on. But let's digest this and I'll show you that later on, and I'll show you other data sets. So gentlemen, watching the screen and seeing the kind of things we import, let's just go through the first one again, and then we'll discuss what the president said, that the number 1 category of our imports is actually machines. And that's 23% of our imports. And then transportation is 13%, metals 9%. So foodstuffs is not that high. Foodstuffs is not that high. And then textiles is 4%. Any quick comments there, Pef? Any quick thoughts on what you just said?
When you say it's not high, we're talking about aggregation.
In terms of percentage?
Yeah, in case of percentage, yes. But aggregation and the value. Mm-hmm. You look at every little bit counts. So if you aggregate this over the long term, what do you get? The devaluation. The value that is gone out. The money that you're spending out that you have used internally with local substitutes of the same raw material base. So let's not look at the percentages. They are nothing. But put them numbers involving that. And you see where.
So let me give you some numbers. Rice, we spent $330 million for rice alone for last year. Yes. And then, as I said, we also spent $300 million for fish.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Also last year.
Yeah. Can't we cultivate in a way that we can have a home product, a homemade fish industry? The sea is the sea. It's all over the place. It's no difference in China, difference in Ghana, except that our fishing industry cannot compete with others. So how do we, empower them to be able to go deeper into the ocean and bring the big fish instead of these little canoe and candy things that hover around the harbor and bring these little pieces of fish? How much?
So any surprises in the things we import? Did anything you saw on that screen surprise you?
What surprised me is the machines. What kind of machines? I want to know. What kind of machines are we talking about here?
Engine blocks.
Used machines.
Used machines.
No, some I didn't categorize, but this would include engine blocks. It could be parts of industrial machines that we use. And this is in terms of value.
Wait. We don't have much of an industry. So what kind of machines are we talking about? Are they coming to Ghana or maybe destination Ghana to be re-exported somewhere? Because our industrialization is left at a low pricing. So the value of these machines, I want to know details of that. Yeah.
I'll show you a few more things later. I'll show you paper products. I'll show you medicines. But Mr. Amamu, what's your reaction to what you've seen on the screen and also what the president said? So there are two things. The president is saying we like imports too much, and you are the importers in Ghana. So you are the people who are causing the city to fall. What's your comment?
Thank you, Bernard. I think for me, I believe strongly that we have problem with our priorities. When the president is saying that we are doing import, there are certain things we don't manufacture here. And now we are all using it. Let's take musical instruments, for instance. Do we have musical instruments factory here?
No.
We don't have those things. So, and definitely we want to use it. We have churches all over. They are all using musical instruments. And they need them. At the end of it, where are we going to get it? We must import them. You see, I believe strongly that when you look at the statistics that you gave out, looking at the rice alone, are we saying we cannot prioritize rice production and make sure Ghana? It's because of the cartel. There is a cartel. And they cannot stop that importation.
So you're saying for some of the things we have on that screen, we can decide not to import them?
Yes. For instance, the rice.
The rice, for example.
We can prioritize rice and say we are going to do rice production on large scale.
So
what is preventing us?
Because
we have the lands.
Don't your members import rice? Because you are Guta. Guta includes traders. So some of the rice importers are your members.
Yes, some of them,
and they're able to sell the rice cheaper than the local rice.
The question is, we all need enabling environment to, do business. So if the environment is there and it is conducive for that aspect, definitely a lot of people will try to go in. But as we speak, our indices are not right. And everybody going into production will look at the cost of production. You see, and looking at doing business, the cost of doing business in Ghana today, it is very high. So
it's easier to import than to produce local rice?
Yes, comparatively, it is better to import.
But your members keep asking, in fact, I have a report I'll play later. Your members keep telling the president to reduce the import duty so they can import cheaper. But what that does is it helps them make profit in the short term, but it destroys the economy in the long term.
Certainly. That is why I'm saying that we must have our priorities right. What do we want? Do you see? If the environment is saying that, you can do importation here, you can do A, B, C, D, you cannot do A, B, C, D, you have the comparative advantage over others, then of course, we'll be able to plan and know what to bring in. As we speak, it is survival of the fittest. Everybody is trying to bring something into the system to make some money. Do you see? But if we can regulate it, if we can all come into one balanced line and
so you are saying what the president said that we import too much, you agree, but you're saying it's the economy that forces you to import. If the economic environment changes, you'll be ready to produce?
Certainly, as we speak, we are still in touch with government, talking about how to move into industrialization and the rest. This is what everybody is trying to go into. And we want to be part of that process.
But most of your members have been importing for years.
Yes.
For decades.
Because we don't have the environment.
Is it not a business decision they've made? Because there are people who are manufacturing.
Not really. You see, in as much as you have the right to do some decisions, to take a decision in terms of business, you must also look at, because doing importation is not easy. It's quite frustrating. All of us wanted to do industrialization. A lot of, I can tell you, 80% wanted to divert and come to industrial. But the question is, we don't have the environment, and that is what is disturbing us.
Really?
So yes, that is what. When we look at the electricity, look at the cost of production in Ghana today. If all these things, we can manage those things, then definitely, who want to go to China and do a lot of, window shopping, buying here and there, bring, and then look at the deal that you go through when you are clearing your goods at the port. If your goods are not in, they are not with you, it is difficult. Do you understand me? So it's not easy to say that, oh, let me go and do importation. Importation, it comes with a lot of frustration, and we wanted to stop it. But if we have the environment, definitely, as we speak, a lot of our people want to stop. Because it's not easy. You can't plan. Look at the depreciation of the Cedi. It's very difficult to plan your imports. It's very difficult to plan your pricing.
Nana, should the president be telling us that we need to have a conversation about the structure of the economy? He's been in power for 3 years. We've known this since I was in economic class in the level 300.
But he wasn't in power then.
But he's been in power for 3 years. Should he be telling us now that we need a conversation about economic structure?
We need conversation as to how our economy is structured and how we're depending, as he said, in imports because of the cost of production, the cost of doing business locally. You know, the cost of doing business is the prevalent angle that we have to look at. Every which ways, whether it's import, whether it's export, whether it's production, because if you don't produce, you cannot export. That's the structural dysfunctioning of our economy. What are the things that we got to do? Cost of money, very high. No long-term financing, no capacity and technical skills to make it easy for businesses to do what they need to do. Those are the fundamentals that we have to look at. But then there's another angle that I always hit. The dependency on Ghana being destination of investments, that we want to bring the foreign in. No foreign business had come here and left their money here forever. At the end of the day, they take it home. And they take it home when they brought 1 Cedi, they take it home plus 5. And that definitely is going to affect you in the long term. You might be glorifying yourself temporarily, but in the long run, it hemorrhages your currency. So we have to look at how do we create substitutes locally, like you're talking about rice. If a rice production of Aime and others are below market, are doing below what they bring in from China, and our people believe that and have the integrity and confidence that this is what we need and the taste is great, why would anyone want to pay more money for that? So we have to look at how do we create the local substitution of variety of food imports. Apart from the machines, transportation, we don't manufacture cars here, so obviously. But the luxury cars angle, how do we tackle that? Because in certain jurisdictions, if you bring a luxury vehicle in, you pay 200% of the value of the vehicle. Okay? So that will stop you and I from bringing Mercedes and all the other kind of luxury. The other things that we use clothing.
24% of our textile imports was used clothing.
Used clothing.
Yes.
What is the motivation?
What is the motivation for anybody to go in there?
Affordability.
Somebody's underwear, somebody's brassiere, somebody's...
So is it poverty?
Yes. No. It's not because it's poverty, but because I want to look good and walk like the American guy and have a body shirt. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is this because it's cheaper?
No. Is this cheaper than the local variety of clothing?
Ask him.
It's affordability.
It's cheaper. Anyway, it's popular because it's cheap. It's not because people want to.
And a lot of people are able.
That's the bend down boutique.
Yes,
now, they have. Don't forget the levels of the bend down boutique. The levels.
In fact, let me play you a short report before I bring Tony in. Okay. We went to Jifa Ametam, who hosts the Breakfast Daily on City TV, went to Kantamanto to talk to the traders about the Cedi. And you just listen to them and you understand why people buy Obroni Wewu.
Earlier this month, the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, after calls from the general public to arrest the falling cedi, announced government's plan to intervene by injecting some funds into the economy. He also advised that citizens depend less on imports to ensure a stable cedi. Economists also projected that the falling cedi could negatively affect already lucrative businesses who relied heavily on imports. Among others, used clothing has been identified as a very lucrative business, recording $128 million of import into the country in the year 2017 alone. Traders in the sale of these clothing revealed to Citi News that the business, which was once very lucrative, is no longer raking in revenue for them.
14, 15 years, my tongue, the woman, my best 4. And no one, but they said, dear, near my neck, near my boy, ding. Simon share my Montinia man is so named to be fine here, man. No, my kind of Dawson. And no one is saying, he has some boy, no matter Tinia man is so. Because when we win the end, the show be the whole Ghana. When we win the share, Ghana by on Shamayan. Not a Tinia may be so, my duty name rough from. Then your money bonus some rough from. No be about what you to be a question about. Better boy a pie, no one, you destroy your money, you couldn't. Your man cries to Kate, a bicycle, your mama, and swamp. Inti Malian, your boy, your bedroom, you may not. The bed then, your bed boy, kunum. A one and a Ben and I intimate to be 1,000 cities, no 2,000 cities. A better than Ben and I'm 2,000 in the over 3,000 in our bay back. Into Toma Winyashi. Yo, dollar the day, ye near mana yetono, ye the dollar, yet a Ghana by a $1. So what I say, it is $1 need to me back for my a beboye. Dollar now, my for my near money, Jania, near Johnny, ye bre. We ni pedum ye brepa se se nso ne ma nya wonim obeto ade se se obeto ade bia 2000 be ubetwa no unya sa ubenya bia 1006 1005 wa boka se no afisu obi kura beto no ase afiri aka ho enti ni mesre mo dollar ne de emmoa yen enti munya dollar ne ho bibi ma yen.
They want something to be done about the import duties placed on their goods at the port. Citi News also tried to find out if these traders were aware of the impact imports have on the Ghana cedi. This was their response.
Ghana for the Mokofana Modiaba. Yeah, young Kobinoni aton. So what I say. Etiano de Amoya ye. Samusimu baby bidia. Of course, I made the end to me. I sister. Moya de end to me. If you me, Metia whom is I made a hembanes in Cheney. Fat, ye brancasa. Niemen koye maya kra niemen koye maya enti wo moaye onti duties ne maya duty no onti so maya na sika no so wo ma no kofom kakra maya sane ye nso ye ho beto ye betimi ahwe ye masku enne fita no pa mbetena ho nyankopon animu ni misika 20 Ghana ma tontale mienu 10 cedi mienu mabusu 20 cedis ye beso ye.
According to these traders, governments should provide a sustainable alternative to decrease their dependence on imported goods.
Bana said yes, a company na guni nyina no. Ese se wo hyemu kena no ye. So an na dwuma timi ba o mai mu na school fo no mu wie school a. Omo atimi anya dwuma ye. Na yenye ya to ade no so no yeso atimi ate kakra. Se ye nyina ye to ade. Wan na ebetu obi de. Amano. Eno so ka ho e na ma de to no so ekofom no.
For Citi News, my name is Jifa Ekwia Ametam.
So there you have it. The false sellers. They say they've been doing this business for a long time. They can't stop. They say the issue of whether the false affects the dollar or not, there's not their problem. For since 19 Kojoho, they go and buy and sell. Something I was surprised to hear. She said she sold 2 items. One is 10 Ghana cedi. Yep. Tells you that it's the affordability. Mm-hmm. So one cloth or one dress is 10 cedis.
You don't think we can create that kind of clothing locally that costs less than that? You don't think we can?
This thing, I mean, do you know how much the material costs?
Today, it costs you a lot. But if we put the structures in place, the textiles in place, the cost of
so I think we should ban import of foods?
No, you see, whenever you intend to ban something, you can't ban in a vacuum. You have to have a replacement. You have to have a strategy that we're going to ban in 3 years. And now, between now and 3 years, this is what we're going to do.
What all these people do? How many of your members...
Let me continue.
Do this kind of business.
Merchandising is not only from Boniwo. Merchandising is buying.
Yes. It's a long stretch.
How many people do this?
Let's look from UTC and down to Agbogboshi.
Wow.
Do you understand? Thank you. Yes, before you get to Dumont. I mean, it's something that has created a lot of jobs. You cannot
so
take
these are in the thousands of people.
cannot take this thing out. It's not possible.
It is possible.
You can't. I disagree. You can do this thing like you said. You can't do this thing in a vacuum.
Yes.
You must replace it with something tangible. But the question is, where we are today. We cannot say we are doing it. We are just banning it wholesale.
It's not possible.
One day you just get up and say,
Tony, you're an exporter. You represent exporters. What are your general thoughts on our preponderance for imports first, before we even come to export issues?
Well, it's a question of choice and then also affordability.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, and quality. If people make a little bit of money and they want to spend on quality product, value for money. So if the local produce is not of quality, they'll look for something elsewhere. Yeah. They'll look for alternatives based on the amount of money they want to spend. So we need to have a deliberate policy as to how to grow these things before we phase them out. Okay, you talk of local rice. Local rice is good, but sometimes it is the way we process it. And so you get somebody using a 1-ton mill to mill local rice, is unable to remove the stones and all the debris. You go and cook it, and you have stones, so you are dissatisfied with it. You won't buy it the next time. So whatever it takes, you go and buy. So we need to have a deliberate program that this is what we are going to do and set timelines. We are not, this is not rocket science. It's happened elsewhere, and it's worked. You know, neighboring countries, for example, they've stopped importation of rice. So now they have local rice. And everybody is consuming local rice. They don't have that kind of a problem. You go to neighboring countries, they stop importation of wheat flour. So they're using cassava, they're using yam flour to produce bread. And if they don't tell you that this is cassava bread, you won't know. They didn't tell you that this is yam flour, you don't know. So it must be a deliberate policy and a program with timelines to deliver. Then you can phase out it. Then they have an alternative. But if you don't replace it with something that you cannot just ban, it will not work.
On that, we'll take a quick break. This is a point of view. We're trying to understand how come our imports are so many and what we can do to stimulate exports. My guests are the GUTA Deputy General Secretary, Mr. Amamu, the PEF Executive Director, Nana Osebunsu, and the President of FAGE. You haven't said much about exports. We'll find out when we come back. What are Ghana's major exports? What do we need to do to encourage exports? And what happened to the Eat Ghana, See Ghana, Wear Ghana, Feel Ghana policy? That plus your messages when we come back. Stay tuned.
Living among your peers in a serene gated community with tarred roads, drains, electricity, piped water supply, and 24-hour security can be so relieving. That is the experience you will enjoy when you reserve the Castle Residency plots located near Prampram Beach and Katamanso near Adenta Barrier. Just pay up to 60% deposit and start construction to start enjoying Prampram Beach and Airport City life. You can start with any deposit. We give you a whopping 10% discount if you make an outright payment. The Castle Residency plots are managed by Castlegate Estate Ghana Limited. Locate our offices at Katamanso Estate site off the Adenta Barrier Dodua Road or Prampram Beach Road next to Oasis International School, or contact us on 0545 559928, our website on www.castlegateestate.com.gh, or email us at info@castlegateestate.com.gh. The Castle Residency Plots. We make home ownership easier.
Witness the twisted and tangled story of betrayal, greed, vengeance, and love in the award-winning Brazil Avenue. Carminia, a woman led by greed, gets rid of her husband, who is Rita's father, and sends Rita away to a filthy landfill. Rita finds love in Batata, but they are soon separated by adoption into different families, far away from each other. Many years later, all paths cross again, as Rita, now a renowned chef, seeks to pay back her stepmother for taking away her happiness as a child. It's a story of twists, turns, suspense, and thrilling action in Brazil Avenue. Brazil Avenue airs Wednesdays to Fridays from 10 to 11 p.m. only on City TV.
Welcome back. This is the point of view. Let me show you more of our imports. It's just by way of education, so you know the kinds of things we spend our money on importing. I'm going to show you paper products next, and I'll show you also chemicals and then fake hair. And then I'll show you the destination or the source of origin of our imports. So when it comes to paper products, look at that. So paper coated, impregnated, covered, colored, 25% of our paper products. And then we have printed matter, books and all those things, 20%. Look at 8.4%, sanitary articles of paper. This includes toilet rolls, sanitary towels and diapers for babies, 8.4%. Documents of title, bonds, etc., 7.4%. And then it goes down, 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 including printed reading books, except dictionaries, paper and paper articles, etc. Let's look at medicines. In terms of the medicine category, you have packaged medicaments, 15%. Pesticides, 15%. Mixed mineral or chemical fertilizers, 7.6%. We set up a fertilizer plant at the what do you call it? At the port, and we called it 1D, 1F. But it's still imported stuff. Yeah. But they say it's 1D, 1F, so we hear. So look at soap. Look at what soap is doing in there.
Fertilizers.
And there's shaving products. Shaving products. There's glue, antibiotics, dental products, cyanides, scented mixtures. That includes perfumes, cleaning agents, ink, potassium fertilizer. All of them there. Now let me go to my favorite. My favorite is the fake hair. That one was just amazing. Now, in that category of footwear and fake hair, etc., you have rubber footwear. Look at that. 12%. Charlie Water and their relatives, 50%. Fake hair, 12%. Processed hair, 9.7%. So fake hair and processed hair is 20% of that category. And there's textile footwear. Textile footwear, 8.5%. Leather footwear, 5.7%. And other footwear. So we don't even import good footwear. You're importing rubber footwear more than leather footwear. Yeah. Now let's finally look at where these imports are coming from. Where are these imports coming from? Your guess is as good as mine. China. Yes. Okay, Asia is 46%. So about half of our imports is from Asia. And then about 30% is from Europe. 11% from the US. Look at it. Only 12% of our imports is from other African countries. And Africa has 53 countries. You see why the eco will not work? Because we don't trade among ourselves. So we import more from the whole of Africa. We import only 12%. Yes, 11% from the US. Yeah. All right, so let's come back into the Tony. So does a reduction in imports from the president mean an increase in exports? Is that what he's saying?
Well, maybe I haven't heard him say that. But even if a reduction in imports will not necessarily translate into exports, because what we require here first, you need to service your own market first before you think of exporting. And you export based on what the market wants, not what you want to export. For example, we have people wanting pineapples, and we used to produce smooth cayenne here. Then the market changed. The market is asked for MD2, so we needed to change our production system and bring in new planting materials and produce. So always for export, you have to depend on the market you are going to.
Does the depreciation Cedi help exporters? Because economic theory tells us that when the Cedi doesn't do well, he suffers because it's an importer. Yeah. But you, who is an exporter, when the Cedi doesn't do well, you benefit. Are you benefiting from the Cedi?
Because I don't have the goods to export. If I had, I'll benefit from the Cedi.
You don't have the goods to export?
No, we don't have the volumes to export.
What are your major exports?
The major exports, like I keep telling anybody who wants to listen that anything produced here could be exportable if it is packaged to suit,
meet the quality controls,
to meet the demands of the market.
International standard.
International standard. We have the standards. You have also the specification of the buyer. If we beat that, and then the packaging. If we can do that, we don't have a problem. We can sell everywhere. Look, as I'm talking to you now, there are delegations, 2 delegations from Germany looking for fresh produce. Back to Germany.
Fresh produce?
Yes, like mangoes, pineapples.
And they are not getting?
They won't get.
But there are plenty mango trees in Dodowa.
Well, they are not even fruiting.
Standards.
They are not fruiting?
No. We've lost the main season.
What do you mean?
Because of climate.
Climate change.
Climate change. So we need to be helped to adapt our production practices so that we can still be harvesting.
But is it fair that we import use of Broniwewu and then we can't export even pineapple because it's not good quality?
Well,
that's your choice. And the rules
No.
of the game skewed against our producers?
Not at all. It's a choice. I mean, you go out there and bring what you want to hear. Nobody stops you.
So what are the top exports for Ghana, at least from your members?
Top exports from Ghana, we have, the top list is the cocoa products. Cocoa. Then you have the aluminium. Then you have cashew products. Then you have mango, yes. You have mango.
Oh, okay.
You have mango. Then you have pineapples. Then you have yams.
So cocoa is number 1, aluminium is number 2, cashew is number 3.
Yeah.
Then for the vegetables you have the fruits you have mango, pineapple,
yeah,
and then yam.
Yam vegetable. Yam is a vegetable. Yam.
Really?
Yes. You know, and it comes down. Vegetable could be the easiest that we do, but we do not have the discipline and then the discipline and the standard to produce. Because
what standard do you need to produce mango?
Well, for example, if you want to produce mango and export to the EU, you must have what we call global gap certification.
What is that?
It is a certification, a quality certification that has been put in place by the supermarkets in Europe. That if you want to bring produce into my supermarket, these are the qualities that I'm looking for, because they carry product liability insurance.
But here Blue Skies exports some of its fruits to Europe.
Blue Skies export its fruit, but the fruits that Blue Sky buys to process are certified global gap.
And they produce them here?
Yeah.
So it means it's possible?
It's very possible. It's just that we have to organize our production in such a way that it meets those standards.
Which products that you've listed have the most potential for Ghana?
I've told you the most potential for Ghana, for example, from all the statistics, mango. See, I'm looking at this not just for exporting fresh. If you take a product, any of those products, you need to look at it across the value chain. For example, mango, you need mango that you can sell fresh, mango that you can cut like Blue Sky is doing, mango that you can dry, right? Mango that you can put in other confectionaries like with chocolate and whatnot, like HPW is doing. So all these are markets that are potential market that we can access.
So is it lack of investment or lack of knowledge? How come all our farms, when we go to Sawam, we go to Dodowa, we have all these mango trees, and some of them are not even fruiting? Is it that people are not, what's wrong? What's the problem?
See, the sad reality is this. We encourage most of these people to go into mango without the necessary agronomic practices, technology, knowledge to the farmers. Most people went to mango production, for example, thought, oh, mango, you just plant it and leave it there. When it's 3 years, it will start fruiting. But you have to look after mango like a baby. That mango has to be fed. When it has to be fed, it has to be pruned. You know, yes. So we do not have those skills yet. Yes, and this is what we need to help those farmers who have taken the decision to go into such production. You help them to adapt to it. The climate change is real. Whether we like it or not, it is affecting production. So you need to adapt your production. So maybe one of the decisions we should take is that we will not encourage monocropping. but that will diversify, will do mixed cropping so that they can take advantage of the environment. Another thing, because of the warming, global warming, now we have incidents, pest incidents and diseases are more prevalent here. It didn't used to be like that. So we are forced to apply a lot of agrochemicals. You saw the list on chemicals at high. Yeah, it's because people have to bring chemicals so that we can take care of all these pests and diseases.
So even though we want to produce our own local food, we have to import the chemicals to help produce the food.
Yes, to take care of the pests.
This is not going to solve today.
But we have to put the strategies in place.
Yes.
It got to be done. There are no two ways, and it can be done.
It can be done.
So the fact that we have to import ABC and the fact that it affects our production capacities does not preclude us from doing it. We can do it if we put the strategies and the support system. He mentioned something, technical skills and competencies.
Yes.
And the knowledge gap as to how the farmers can apply ABCD and do the right things. The specifications for the market overseas.
Yeah.
We had a goal, American Growth Opportunity Act. Did we take advantage of it? There's no reciprocity. That we export A goes straight.
We couldn't take. We
haven't taken advantage.
No.
Why?
No. We underutilized that opportunity.
That's right.
Because the same thing will happen to the Continental Free Trade Arrangement
the CFTA,
if we don't put.
This is coming.
If we don't put plans in place to make sure.
But who's supposed to do that?
It's both the government and the private sector. Yeah. Because we're going to liberalize some kind of economy to bring in imports, and we can export the same. Which items do we now bring into the 90 percentile that will be required? We got to sit with the private sector. We got to look at GRA, the tax on it. Yeah. All these kind of things got to be done. Are we collaborating, dialogue platform, PPD between government and private sector to see these are the things that we need to do? So when it comes, we'll not be found wanting. So you see, sometimes we leave our economy on autopilot. Everything should be done by itself.
Yeah.
It can be done, but it's done by itself. There must be a concerted effort, integrated effort to do the value chain approach. So at least we know X can feed into Y can feed. So we have less waste in the system.
Sure.
We support fertilizers, subsidized fertilizers. And we have post-harvest losses running between 35 and 55%. So what are you supporting? Waste. Because the fertilizer increases productivity and it goes into post-harvest losses. You're supporting waste. Can we piggyback on that and say, okay, no support for fertilizers. Maybe look at the intangibles and other things like seed, like agronomic practices, the education and all. And then get storage facilities and put these things in, packaging and other things. Cold storage. These are things that we can do.
But we already have some things happening. The Agri Minister said yesterday that in 2019, we will reduce import of rice by 50%.
That's the easiest. That's the easiest.
That's what he said.
That's the easiest way.
He said because of the past 3 years of planting for food and jobs, he's promising us that end of this year we'll reduce. And that's about $150 million.
Fantastic.
That's what he said.
Let's hope he's right. Let's hope he's correct. If we do that, then that means we have the capacity to do that and reduce it more up to 100%. Nigeria is now exporter of rice.
But the question, we eat our own rice.
Why not?
If it's the quality.
But when you go to Nigeria, let me ask you, when you go to Nigeria hotel, you don't eat long rice, you eat local rice.
Your money is finite. You have limited paycheck. And you want to stretch how your paycheck can be used to feed you and your family.
I hear you.
So you're looking at various things that you can bring home that your money can buy. And if the local is expensive and much more, it's very little, then you go to the what? The cheaper models or the cheaper varieties. And the cheaper varieties are coming from elsewhere. So what we have to do, we talked about cost of doing business. Cost of production. Yeah. If we make conscious effort that this is the sector that we want to reduce imports, tax-free investment in rice, believe me, we can do that in 2 years. We did a research, poultry. We can cut poultry into about 75% if we invest about $600 million in 3 years, and it creates about 643,000 jobs a year.
Let me read some comments for you,
Thank you
on the show. This is the point of view. We're trying to understand how to save the city. This is part 2. My guest, Richard Amamu, who is from the GUTA, Nana Sebunsu, who is the executive director of PEF, and of course, Tony Sikpa from FAGE. Good evening, Bernard. At last, our president now knows that the depreciation of the city did not start today, and it cannot be solved by political talk. Better late than never. But he should use the proposed $800 million to be pumped into the economy to open factories to stop the unnecessary imports. This is Kojo from Asimfosu. Michael Amut, watching from Asokwa in Kumasi, says, good evening, Bernard. If the issue of importation is not addressed with all seriousness, the artificial short-term measures will not save the depreciation in the long term.
That's true.
Kobe Inoibi says, hi, Bernard. What support has the president himself given to Kantanka? He went ahead and imported these saloon cars for our police. Wouldn't that also put pressure on our currency? People are wild. Louis from Ablikuma. Basically, we all know the fact that we import more, even in social studies exams. But those in government who are to implement measures, surprisingly, are also into importing goods. That's a very interesting point. He claims that the government people also import. Is it true? Do government people also import? He said the government people also do import.
He has given you an example.
Okay, Michael says, Bernard, our past and current governments are not committed to fighting the cost of promoting local content. Why is it so difficult for government to sanction all MMDAs to procure their pickup vehicles from Kantanka? This is from Michael. Maunyo Athanasius. The president doesn't drive a Kantanka. Can he please lead this crusade of patronizing made in Ghana goods? Nana, please let me do the message. I think the president doesn't drive a Kantanka car. Can he please lead this crusade of patronizing made in Ghana goods? Can they stop importing China chairs for parliament? We must stop importing luxury cars. He and his vice should also stop patronizing hospitals abroad. The minister should stop sending their children to schools abroad. He should stop holidaying abroad. Let's walk the talk. That's how to strengthen the city. Maunyo Athanasius. Good evening, Bernard. Explain to your panelists that we buy second-hand clothes because of the price and durability. New boxer shorts don't last. Is that new boxer shorts don't last? The price for one wooden long sleeve shirt is too expensive for an ordinary Ghanaian. This is from Win in Elmina. Marcus from Takrady says, Bernard, your man in Sue doesn't sound like a Ghanaian.
So you don't sound like a Ghanaian. You don't sound like a Ghanaian.
Also, Brock sent me too much. Our leaders always said we should buy made in Ghana goods, but they themselves don't. Furthermore, made in Ghana goods are rather more expensive. How do they expect us to buy?
It's because of production.
Why are made in Ghana goods more expensive than imported? Is it true? For you, an importer? Imported goods are still cheaper?
Yes, because of the cost of production.
Cost of production is high.
It's high. So,
cost of money is high.
And the cost of money is also
so borrowing
interest rates.
The interest rates are high. So it makes
and then the scale.
Look at this one from Kwame.
And then the volumes that we bring.
Kwame says, good evening, Bernard. If the cost of frozen meat could be that cheap, despite the high import duty, then something is definitely wrong with us. So even though you have import duty on frozen meat, it's still it's cheaper than the meat that we kill here.
Why? Because the cost of that from the origination point is very low.
But
you
Bernard,
add the transport and others,
Bernard,
they still come low.
You mentioned rice, and when you get to Nigeria, whether you like it or not, you know, Nigeria have a way of putting some restrictions on their goods. So whether you like it or not, when you get to Nigeria, you eat that rice. Wherever you are coming from, you have no option. You have that very rice. You get to their stations where, maybe from Ghana, you get to the station, you look at their restaurants, all that is out there is local rice. Do you understand? So we must have some conscious effort. We should make some conscious effort that this is what we are going to do. This is what we want.
And you, the importers, will not sabotage the president if he decides not to lower the tariffs on, not to lower the import duty.
The question is
to support the local producers, the competitive.
The question is,
are you guys not going to demonstrate?
All of us,
and say
no. We don't demonstrate in a vacuum. You see, all of us want our country to move forward. Now, if we are saying that you don't need any technological advancement or any technology to do rice farming. And we say this is the focus, this is the priority. Let us all do
You support it?
Then, of course, we have no option. If that is the way for us to, get more rice locally and then consume locally, make sure the money is here, we have no option. But as we speak, I can tell you, I mentioned earlier on, there is a cartel who is behind this importation of rice.
But the cartel
which will not
policy.
So if there is a deliberate policy that says that, yes, let's consume our rice.
You will support it? We'll take a short break and come back. There's more. This is still the point of view, trying to understand how to save the ailing cedi for a long, sustainable way. Stay with us.
Starting this April, your Saturday nights just got cozier on Citi TV with Citi Movies. Gather round, grab your popcorn, sit back and relax while you watch action, drama, comedy and thrillers every Saturday night at 9 p.m. on Citi TV.
Because you ain't got no teeth. You can't go to no job interview. Definitely ain't gonna get no loving. And you got low self-esteem. So that's why we got a saying to make y'all feel better. It goes, just because you toothless don't mean you useless.
It's Citi Movies, starting this April on Citi TV. You've been waiting for is here on Saturday, 23rd March 2019. As part of 97.3 CTFM's Heritage Month comes the music of Ghanaian origin concert, Mogo 2019. Time to experience the cocktail of the old and new, the legends and the crooners on one stage. Mogo 2019 featuring Amantiba, KK Kabobo, Adani Best, Kwabna, Akwabwa, Kofi B, Sina Soul, and a Kwampa Band for one night and one night only. The music of Ghanaian origin, Mogo 2019. Serving you an overdose of nostalgia and happy feet. Venue, National Theatre. Date, Saturday, 23rd March 2019. Rate is 120 Ghana cedis. Tickets available at the front desk of Citi FM and Citi TV. Gates open at 7 p.m. Call 0205-973-973 or 0302-224959 for ticket reservation. The music of Ghanaian origin concert, Mogo 2019, is sponsored by Freight Consult, your total logistics manager. Go is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and supported by Citi TV.
This is still the point of view. We're trying to unravel the cedi's challenges. We all agree too many imports not helping. We also know we have to add value to production, but cost of local production is high. The cost of money is high. The importers say they will not sabotage the president if he decides to pursue a policy to support local production. So that's a good promise is put out there. Faith says they need support. Tell me 2 or 3 areas exporters need help, local producers need help.
But the first area is that there should be a policy that it's not just everybody or anybody who must go into export.
Okay.
If you want to go into export, get trained. Get properly trained so that you can produce according to what is required by whichever market that you're going to. 2, we need technical assistance, especially for the agriculture production. Right? Because, for example, on the market, somebody will come to you and say, I need organic certified product. To get organic certification, you must have been producing for 3 years for them to track you and make sure that you are doing this. It's not everybody who can do that. Okay, so they need training. You need to train. What do you mean by organic? It's not somebody takes palm oil and puts it out there and put a label on it. This is organic. We call something certified organic. an independent body has to certify your product that this is organic. So we need to be helped to identify such opportunities and take them. Because if you are producing organic, even cocoa, at the time when cocoa was selling at 1,500 or so, organic cocoa was selling twice as much. So these are some of the things that we need to do by export to reap maximum benefit from what we are doing. Export is marketing. It's an extension of your marketing, of your market into somebody else's territory. And there must be a deliberate program to get there and train people to go there and also sell yourself. It's not just everybody who does it. So anybody can pick a few cassava leaves from here and say, I'm sending them to UK. No, that's why we are getting problems. You know.
Okay. Let me come to Mr. Amamu. A few of our manufacturers started as importers and traders, and they've managed to change to become manufacturers. How easy is it to do that transition? And is this something you are planning to do as well?
Bernard, I think that is the way. You cannot stay in importation in perpetuity. I mean, considering there are a lot of hazards with regards to importation, it is better you graduate into industrialization or manufacturing. That is key. But the question that it behoves or it's incumbent on the government to create the atmosphere for us to push our money, because you know the cost of money is high, and when you get the money, you cannot take unnecessary risk. Risk must be measured, and if you look at it and you check and you see pushing money, getting $10,000 and then pushing it into one venture, and at the end of it all, your bankers will be chasing you, and if you don't have a very good payment plan, I mean, you will fail it. You see, when we talk about depreciation of the city, Bernard, if you are owing $50,000, that's at last. A lot of people, a lot of traders come to our office. Somebody is owing $10,000 at last year December. Somebody is owing $100,000 because China will go. They went for this Chinese holiday, and then they gave their goods. You know, when they are getting closer to their holidays, they will give goods to their, loyal suppliers, go and sell and come and pay. And then only to come January, February, and then the dollar rate is climbing. You see, so it means you need more CDs to get that $50,000, which is, the profit that you have made, maybe during Christmas, all is eroded. So you are now at
back to square one. So they should stabilize the currency and make the cost of money cheaper.
Very well. You see, as for the cost of money, we are all talking about cost of money. We look at the policy rate. We say this policy rate. They say, well, they reduce policy rate. The effect is zero. Because when you go to the bank, you are going to negotiate based on your capacity.
Which is not the same as the yes. Nana, you have the last word. You have 30 seconds. Your final word.
My final word is we should be concerned about the home market. We're talking about imports that are coming to the home market, and we're talking about exports. But we have to capture the home market.
Import substitution.
Yes, import substitution. That is what we can do. Once we do that, we don't have to worry about imports because the locals can compete with the imports.
Yeah.
And the local quality can stand against the imports. Eventually, the imports are going to dry out. We have to make a conscious effort as a country. How do we cultivate the local market to capture it for ourselves? Building the capacity, building the resource mobilization, building the value chain approach. Those are the things that we got to do. Imports will vanish the next month.
Thank you very much. Nana Osebunsu is the Executive Director of the Private Enterprise Federation, which is known as PEF. And we also had Tony Sikpa, who is the
Vice Chairman of PEF.
You are the okay, well, he's the president of Fiji and vice chairman of PEF.
Yes.
So you've PEFized him. And Richard Amamu is the deputy general secretary of the Ghana Union Traders Association, GUTA. Thank you for watching. My name is Bernard Avile. Let's buy Ghana, eat Ghana, and let's sleep Ghana. Good night.
Point of View is sponsored by Castlegate Estate Company Limited, the nation's #1 service plot specialist.